Have you ever wanted a fully immersive adventure underground consisting of physical effects, live actors and loud noises? I bring to you today my review of Nemesis Sub-Terra, Alton Towers' second brand new experience for 2023. Well, it actually first opened in 2012, closed at the end of 2015 and then didn't operate for 7 seasons. Nevertheless, it's great to have this attraction back for a whole new generation to experience, despite it being created before the actual whole Nemesis refurb was planned and the whole phalanx were incorporated into that. Alton Towers have done their very best to incorporate the whole idea of Nemesis Sub-Terra and what it's about into this new storyline surrounding the reimagining of Nemesis. The queue line, while essentially consisting of what appears to be temporary flooring and fencing arranged in some sort of cattle pen that is hopefully going to be remaining permanent now, contains screens showcasing promotional footage that the park have been releasing regarding the phalanx, mixed with old footage from the original Nemesis Subterra. This footage also contains a nice voiceover explaining the purpose of the baggage hold, which you need to put all loose articles within, as well as introducing the idea that the phalanx is this secret government corporate organisation. A bit like Merlin, I guess, except I don't think the phalanx are money grabbing knobheads. Wow, I really need to stop using that footage in videos. It's worth noting that the ride access pass queue moves very slowly for this ride due to the fact that batching of groups takes quite a while, with only one group being batched every 5 minutes and only about 2 to 3 groups being let through the wrap queue at once. So if you are using the wrap queue due to the fact that you're entitled to a ride access pass, then please be aware that it may be a longer wait than it looks. From listening to conversations of non-enthusiasts in the queue, they definitely got the impression that this attraction was going to be some sort of scare maze. This is understandable due to the nature of the batching, whereby you put your baggage in a baggage hold and then you're arranged outside the building in a scare maze-like fashion, where you're given a safety briefing in which you essentially are told,
"Yo, shut up a minute, yeah? This phalanx research facility contains loud noises, dark and confined spaces, physical effects and live actors. The actors will not touch you, so don't touch them. If you have a problem with any of that, then you can sod off."
If you think I'd be good as a scare maze host, then be sure to leave this video a like. A minute or so later, a phalanx operative welcomes you into the building and explains that you're going to be shown a pre-show video and that you're now split into 4 groups of up to 10 guests. And then the pre-show commences, explaining that you've entered a phalanx research facility and that phalanx are an organisation who are excavating the site near the Nemesis creature, which was obviously uncovered back in 1994 and chained down with steel in the form of an inverted coaster, which is probably one of the worst in the world, but is often regarded as one of the best due to nostalgia. There's been no activity regarding the creature since, however they have uncovered a nest of eggs. You're not going to be able to go and see this nest of eggs as it is quite a hostile environment. However, one of the eggs has been isolated and you're going to make your way down to the central core to observe that. The first 2 groups then make their way into lifts before the other 2 groups follow, and these lifts are essentially fake. They give the illusion that they are moving, and many non-enthusiasts believe that they were actually moving, but essentially the floor just vibrates, so you can feel some nice vibrations in your feet. So you then exit the lift into the central core, which is essentially a massive room containing 4 drop towers manufactured by ABC Rides. These drop towers are arranged in a square around this machine that houses the egg and appears to be monitoring it. You can hear this beeping noise in the background, which Alton Towers used in the Subterra promotional reopening video. Once the loading is complete, you are welcomed to the central core. You're explained that the egg before you does contain an alive creature, however the creature is dormant. But while this explanation is taking place, the egg starts to toss and turn a little bit. The blue lighting above it starts to turn to orange and you're a bit like, oh dear, something's going wrong here. An air cannon then goes off and you're told that the monitoring system has malfunctions. There's then a couple of seconds or so of silence before you're told to remain in your seats. At this point, the egg before you has essentially hatched and the Nemesis creature is released. And then you drop down because the ride essentially starts at the top of the shafts of the towers rather than the bottom, which is very unique. The drop itself is around 20 foot, which is around 6 meters. So it's only the height from, say, the top of a 2-story building. However, the drop is not free fall. You are actually pulled down it a bit, so it does feel quite forceful. And when you hit the bottom, you start to gradually make your way back up to the top And while that's taking place, you get prodded and poked in all sorts of ways. I mean, there are leg ticklers that come around your legs, you get sprayed with water, you can get poked in the back if you sat back in your seat. However, if you do sit forward, you will avoid that. And regarding the leg ticklers, I would not recommend wearing shorts, as I've heard that they can hurt your legs a bit if you do that. And then when you hit the top, the lap bars come up quite aggressively, and you're told, you know, this is an emergency, you need to evacuate. There's strobes going off, it's so atmospheric, there's air cannons, everyone's screaming their heads off. You then make your way to some other lifts at the other side of the building. You get in there and you start to make your way up, except obviously it's fake again with the vibrating floor. And part way up, air cannons start going off and the lift starts banging and shaking, and you can hear more screaming as the Nemesis creatures attacking it. But eventually the doors do open, and some, I guess you could say, actors are essentially telling you to get out of the building. And at this point you're essentially going through a little scare maze with more sirens and strobe lighting and air cannons, so the atmosphere does continue before you then exit the maze and you've survived essentially. This attraction is recommended for guests aged 12 and over. However, it does have a 1.4 meter height restriction, so anyone above that can essentially ride the ride. Personally, I feel that quite a few 10-year-olds would probably be able to handle this experience depending on their tolerance of noise and physical effects, etc. But overall, it is a good attraction, don't get me wrong. It's not the best dark ride in the UK. However, it's better than Hex, because that's just boring. Anyone who says Hex is the best dark ride in the country, like, who even are you? Like, just no. My main criticism of this attraction is the fact that I do feel the scare maze section could be a little longer, and they could have utilised actors more as well, because trust me, you will not get actors 2 centimeters from your face like you do in a scare attraction. I think the attraction built up to the scare maze section really well, but the maze section itself just didn't quite deliver for me. It's also better than Gangster Granny the Ride in the world of David Walliams, but not quite as good as the Curse at Alton Manor, which is the other new dark ride that's open for this year, and Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which you must go and ride. Click the video on the right side of your screen to go and watch my review of that now, because honestly, that thing is amazing. And for more things theme park related in the UK and beyond, make sure you click the icon in the centre of your screen to subscribe.